Okay, you just had your lesson on comparing decimals. You can also put them in order from greatest to least or least to greatest as you compare digits and the decimal place values. So, you just watched my lesson, you practiced on your whiteboard, you should be ready to get some notes into your math notebook. And then you will be visiting your math tile, which is your SAVVAS tile. And you will be doing some practice in that tile for this lesson and doing a quick check before you go to your homework for today. So let's get our notes. Have your notebook, blue math folder, highlighter, scissors, pencil, and glue stick. All right, and we're going to take out the next notes page, which should be 1.5, and we're going to go ahead and cut this out. We should be getting good at this now. We're just going right in order of our packet. Put your folder to the side and just get this page cut out. All right. All right, here we go. So today we're still focusing on decimals and whole numbers, but we're going to compare. Okay, so we've got some vocabulary here to work with. So give me 1 second. Okay, I'm back. All right, first thing is we've got to remember these symbols. So I want you to put a cloud around greater than, less than, or equal. And then we can box this with our highlighter. These are going to be our vocabulary words in order to compare decimals. I'll get you a little closer. There we go. Okay, so we have greater than, less than, or equal. So we're going to think alligator chomps the bigger number, but we're actually going to give them their name. So if the alligator is chomping the second number, that means he's going to eat the second number. He's less than. If the alligator is going to eat the first number, that means he's open this way. That's greater than. And if, of course, they're equal in value, then we put the equal sign. So on your chart that I also attached in this lesson, that I talked to you about in the first lesson video, which is Mrs. Preston teaching this to you, which you should have already watched. If not, you need to stop and go watch that video. You need to be doing things in order, so that's the first video posted. But on that poster, if we have to compare, let's take 4/10, because that's how we would read that, or 40 hundredths, and 4 hundredths, where the 4 is in the hundredths place, and we're asked to compare to show which one is greater than, less than, or equal. The first thing you should be doing is lining up the decimal points. That is the first thing you should do. So put a little bullet. Line them up so your decimal points and your place values are lined up underneath each other. Because in this question, we're asked to compare 40 hundredths with 4 hundredths. So if we line them up, we can see place value under place value with our decimal points lined up too. Then we're going to start at the left and we're going to compare. Well, we're going to start with the 0. They're both the same. So we can't use him to show which one's greater than, less than, or equal. But what we can do is, as we move from left to right and we compare the digits of the same place value, the 0 is the same digit, we can't use them, but we can use the 4 and the 0 in the tenths place. These two digits, let's go ahead and highlight them. Those two are different. And once we get to one that's different, then we can tell which one's greater than, less than, or equal. So this guy is 4/10, he has 0/10. Both numbers have 0 ones, but 40 hundredths has 4/10, but 4 hundredths has 0/10. So we can clearly see that this guy is bigger than that guy. So if we were going to order them, he'd be number 1, he'd be number 2. But when we compare, we see it in an equation like this, and we use the symbols greater than, less than, or equal. So that would say 40 hundredths is greater, excuse me, than 4 hundredths. Okay, let's compare these guys. So if we have, excuse me, 770 thousandths compared to 707 thousandths, let's line up the decimal points. Let's put this guy under him. If we do this, put them right underneath each other. Okay, we can see that they both have a 0 in the ones place. They both have a 7 in the tenths place, but right here, there's 7 hundredths and 0 hundredths. So this guy's bigger because he has 7 hundredths, he has 0 hundredths, and that's the first place value they differ. So that means we're going to put the greater than symbol in there. Let's look at these guys. Okay, let's line them up. Let's put this guy over here. So we're going to put 0.08. Okay, let's compare. 0 in the ones, 0 in the tenths. They both have an 8 in the hundredths, 0 and nothing. If you remember in some previous lessons, we could put a 0 there and it's the same thing. So in this case, they are equal, because if 0 is equal to 0, so this would be equal. Okay, let's do this. And let's move this guy under him. All right, 0 in the ones, 0 in the tenths. Uh-oh, here it is. 0 hundredths, 5 hundredths. So right there, in the hundredths place, this guy's bigger because he has 5 hundredths, he has 0. So we compare the digits as we move from left to right. Okay, how about this last one? We have 60 hundredths and 6 tenths. Well, let's put him over here. This is kind of similar to this guy. We have 0 ones, 6 tenths, 0 is equal to 0. So guess what? He's equal. Because we could put a 0 here and it equals the same amount. We can pad with a 0 at the end. Okay, let's look at number 2. So we're comparing decimals today. So it's telling us to write 4 and 25 hundredths, 4 and 312 thousandths, and 4 and 241 thousandths in the chart, lining up the decimal points. They've done the first one for us. So we're going to do the next 2. Okay, then it says order the numbers from least to greatest. So that means we have to order them from smallest to largest, and it's telling us to start at the left. So we're going to order them from least to greatest. So find the first place where the digits are different. They're not different in the ones place. Are they different in the tenths place? Yes. This guy's bigger. So he's going to be the largest guy. He's going to go last. But we have this guy and this guy the same. So we got to move over here. Ah, he's already the first guy. He's the third guy. Let's put a 3 there. Who's going to be the smallest? Is 5 or 4 smaller? 4 smaller. So he's actually going to be the first, and he's going to be the second guy. Because we're asked to show least to greatest. So if we order them from least to greatest, 4 and 241 thousandths comes first, then 4 and 25 hundredths comes next, and this was our big guy because he's got a 3 in the tenths place, 312 thousandths. Okay, you can pause and rewind these videos anytime, this one anyways. So we looked in the hundredths place, the tenths place first, and then the hundredths place. So let's highlight that. We used the tenths and the hundredths place. All right, let's look at number 3. Compare the digits in the hundredths place of 4 and 241 thousandths and 4 and 25 hundredths. Well, since we're looking in the hundredths place, 4 is greater than, is less than 5. It's asking us to look in the hundredths place. Yep, so Miss Preston needs to go over one. Hello. There we go. I'm confusing myself. You need to be looking at this 4 in the hundredths place and the 5 in the hundredths place. So since 4 is less than 5, that would mean 4 and 241 thousandths is less than 4 and 25 hundredths. And we already did number 4. We did it right here, least to greatest. So let's just list them again. Okay. All right, so let's do number 5. Ordering these from least to greatest. So we're going to go digit by digit. So let's list them all underneath each other. Oh, let's scoot him over. And I'm going to pull him over here. It's going to be really neat. Okay, we're going to go place value by place value. So it's least to greatest. We got to find the smaller guy. He goes first. So if we look in the ones place, they're all zeros. How about if we look in the tenths place? He has a 0. He is smaller than 2 and 3, so he's our first guy. So we got rid of him. Now we're going to compare 3 and 2. Wouldn't 2 be a little smaller than 3? So he's our second guy. And our largest guy is 312 thousandths. So we're going digit by digit until we get to a place where they differ. Oh, how about this one? Greatest to least. Okay, let's look. We're just going to look at them digit. We're not going to list them because you could just look at this way. 9, 9, 9. Can't go there. How about the tenths? 7, 0, 7. Ooh, we have to find the greatest one. So since they both have 7s, it's going to be one of them. So go to the next guy. He has a 0. He has an 8. So the greatest decimal here would be 9 and 78 hundredths. Then we can write him. 9 and 708 thousandths. Because see, in the hundredths, that's what makes him a little smaller. And our smallest decimal we can tell from the tenths place is 9 and 87 thousandths. Okay, let's do this guy. Order 241 and 55 thousandths, 241 and 901 thousandths, and 241 and 99 thousandths from greatest to least. We have to find the biggest one. Well, look, it's all 241 in the whole numbers. So we can't use the whole number place values. So let's go to our tenths. We have a 0, we have a 9, and a 0. Can you tell me which one is the greatest? Would it be the guy with the 9 in the tenths place or one of these zeros? Of course it'd be this guy. Of course it would be him. So let's just make him number 1. We'll order him like this. Well, who's the next largest? Okay, well, we were on the tenths. Now we got to go to the hundredths. So it's either 5 or 9. Well, which one's greater, 9 or 5? This guy. So he'd be our second higher one. And of course, he'd be our smallest. Because if we look at the decimal place values, he's got a 0 here, so does he. He has a 5, he has a 9, so he's smaller. Okay, so don't forget you're going into your math tile on ClassLink, and it says it in these directions very, very explicitly and specifically what you are going to look for to go practice. So let's get him glued into our notebook while Mrs. Preston talks. So find your very next page. Lift you up a little. Your very next page in your notebook. Oops, we gotta write 1.5 at the top. We will. So it should come after 1.4. We're now on 1.5, and hopefully you were able to print or copy the chart in the lesson that I attached to your left side. Okay, and this is 1.5. So, my notebook looks like this, but my hope is that you printed the other chart that I have in this assignment and you were able to glue it over here or copy it by hand. Okay. Now you are going to do your homework in this practice book, but you're not going to do your homework in this practice book until you go into your math tile. But when you get to do your homework, you're going to be on 1.5 comparing decimals, and you're going to be doing 9 and 10. Okay, and I also put this in the directions. You're going to do numbers 18 and 19 on page 10. And you're going to do the problems that I assign on page 9, which I just want you to go ahead and do all of them. Yeah. Okay? All right. So the directions of what you're supposed to do in this practice book for your homework are listed in this assignment. Now before you go do your homework, I'm going to aim my computer or my phone at my computer. And I'm going to remind you where you need to go to do some extra math practice before you do your homework. And that is this tab right here, SAVVAS. And when you get into that tab, yours will look a little different than mine. You will only see one listed. You will see math. And underneath it, you'll click on Envision. You've done this once before for your test. And you will always click on your red circle. Yours looks a little different. And when you click on your red circle, you will see assignments pop up. Now you've only had your chapter 16 assigned, you already did that. Underneath it, you will see 2 other things that you need to do before you do your homework for lesson 1.5. So you're always going to click on red once you get into that tile. Okay, the directions to this are also in this assignment. So remember, you're going to click on classes, and underneath it, it will give you your assignments for 1.5. It'll be a practice buddy and a quick check. You need to do those first, then you can go do your homework. This will be checked by Mrs. Preston. All right, good luck ordering decimals.